Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. It's just right about 1 o'clock Eastern time. I know some people are on the West Coast, some people maybe even in Europe, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We haven't had a webinar for a while, and so we wanted to get these restarted, and we thought a good way to get them restarted would be to focus on a roadmap for quality management in SAP. So a lot of people have heard about what's coming with S/4HANA. Maybe you've seen a preview of it. Maybe you're wondering, what can you do today while you're waiting for S/4HANA? Are there any capabilities you can take advantage of now? So what we wanted to do is really set that framework, talk a little bit about each of those aspects here, and then show a little bit of the functionality and hopefully, answer any questions as well. So there is a Q&A, well, actually a chat part that you could go into if you have any questions. Just ask them in the chat. I've got everybody on mute just because it does tend to get loud with different lines, and some people join in at different times at lunch and from the road or wherever else in our mobile lifestyles nowadays. So use the little chat window, and I'll periodically try to check that so that we keep going with that. Okay. So the first thing that we wanted to do is sort of what are we doing? What can we do in SAP in quality management? So we're going to answer a few questions in this webinar. First one is, what's in S/4HANA for QM? Okay, maybe you haven't seen some of the functionality. Maybe you haven't seen what some of the screens look like with the new Fiori screens, transactions, object pages. And then, like I said, what can I do today? Where do I start? Those are the types of questions that we hear coming from SAP customers around S4 and quality management as well. Okay, so what's in S/4HANA for QM? Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the release strategy, some of the applications and the Fiori Apps in the QM area. So there's two versions of S/4HANA. Okay, there is S/4HANA Cloud and S/4HANA on-premise. So to make it easy, SAP gives you a sort of roadmap for each one of those releases so that you can see the functionality coming out in each of the releases, and they give you a little icon. So the cloud is the cloud version, and those releases are done quarterly, so once a quarter. Okay, so you can see in the cloud there was 1708, then it went to 1711, 1802, 1805, 1808, 1811. And broadly, the way you can read this is the first two digits of the year, the next two digits of the month. So the SAP S/4HANA Cloud 1708 was August of 2017, and then the next quarter was the November 17th, et cetera. Okay? The on-premise version, so that is on-prem. Of course, on-prem could also be hosted, so that's sort of like a hybrid version. But the on-premise version, that's an annual cycle of innovation. So the last release was 1709, and the one that just came out here recently is 1809. Okay, so September 2017, and we're just rolling into the one that was released here in September 2018. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Quarterly on the cloud and annually on-premise. Okay, so what's in S/4HANA Cloud? So there's applications similar to what you're probably used to if you're running SAP ECC. There's pre-configured core processes within quality management for QM procurement, discrete manufacturing, customer complaints, defects, et cetera, stock handling. And just think about the cloud one as you're going to have limited ability to customize it, right? Because it's in the cloud and you have to go with sort of what's there. So you can't really customize the heck out of it like you would in traditional SAP ECC on-premise. Okay? So you'll have access to these slides afterwards. We'll make sure and send this out to everybody. And I am recording it as well, so if you had colleagues who couldn't attend, I'll send a link out, see if we can get the recording out there as well. Okay. What's in SAP S/4HANA on-premise? Same idea, really a core set of applications. When you talk about on-premise, you're going to basically have all the capabilities that you have today in ECC. You're going to have all the capabilities you have to customize and configure that to your business processes because it's not in the cloud shared on, where everybody's got to share sort of the same tenants. This is your own on-premise version of S/4HANA, okay? So you've got your traditional quality planning, inspection, complaints. You've got your document management, test equipment management, audit management. The quality notifications are in S/4HANA as well. I know a lot of people have had questions about that. Where is SAP going to support quality notifications in the future in S4? And the answer is yes. So they're in S/4HANA. Okay? But what you'll find is that as you look at what's available from a Fiori app perspective, there's some things available now in the cloud, some things available on-premise, and some things coming in the future. Okay? So if you were to look at these releases, and you can sort of look down the check marks here, and you can see what's available in the version 1709 as an example. That was the last on-premise one, so the next one is, like I just said, just came out this month, so they haven't updated this slide for it yet, so there's some new apps available. But you'll notice that the cloud version is always going to sort of precede the functionality first because that's a quarterly release and sort of controlled in the cloud so that SAP can basically release those Fiori apps on the cloud version first before you'll see them on the on-premise version. And then what I want to mention here is there's really two types, or actually a few types of Fiori things that you're going to see. You're going to see something called an object page. Think of that as sort of data, displaying data. I'm going to show you an example in Fiori. I'll log into an S4 1709 system and show you the quality info record for procurement. This one, quality info record for procurement object page, just to show you what an object page looks like. Then you're going to have overview pages. An overview page is going to be some analytics and drill down into the analytics. So I'm going to show the quality engineer overview page. And then Fiori Apps. The apps are like your transactional apps. So recording inspection results is a Fiori app that is in here as well. Okay. So you can look through this on your own time, but I'll give you an example of one of each just so you can see what's an object page, what's an app, and then there's analytics as well. Analytics are more reporting-based Fiori pages. Okay. So when you go into S/4HANA, the look and feel via Fiori really changes. So instead of using your traditional SAP graphical user interface GUI, there's now what's called the Fiore Launch Pad. And the Fiore Launch Pad has these tiles, these sort of square boxes that you see. Those are called tiles. And those are going to launch into those different Fiori apps, the object page, the overview page, the application. Okay? And they are role-based. So when you log in to your Fiori Launch Pad, based on your role, you're going to get access to the app. So that comes with like 6 roles in the QM side. You can see quality planner, quality technician, quality engineer, manager, calibration technician, and quality auditor. Now you can have one of those roles or all of those roles. Okay? And then once you have those roles, you'll have the apps, and you can organize them however you like on your page. Just sort of like you could organize favorites before in the GUI, but this one much nicer from a user friendliness, and you'll see the apps are much nicer looking than the GUI. Okay? Okay. And the other thing is, in case you're wondering, and this was, I think, an area at the beginning when S4 came out and Fiori came out, do you lose stuff? So on the on-premise version, like I said, you're going to have access to everything you had today, but you're not going to see a Fiori app for everything you had today until SAP sort of catches up. That's why that's got the release. You've got, record usage decision, record inspection lot, Fiori transactional apps available in 1709. But there's not yet an app for quality notifications. So what do you do if there's no Fiori app? You can still use any of those normal transactions. It's just going to render differently in a new visual theme in let's call it like a web-based GUI that's going to sort of look like what you're traditionally used to seeing in the SAP GUI standalone. Okay, it will change a little bit though. You'll notice some of the things I'm pointing out here on the screen is you don't have icons anymore in the toolbar, so you've got text-based toolbars instead of icons. A lot of the labels and stuff are going to be right aligned. Notice the save icon is down here on the bottom right. You've got sort of the Fiori headers and the different colors and visualization. Okay, so what SAP has done is, if you're looking at this, for example, the results recording work list, or what we used to call QE51N, can still be run inside of S4, and it just sort of visualizes it and tries to look like a Fiori app, even though it's not a true Fiori app in this case, right? So I can click on Record Inspection Results, and it launches this. Okay. SAP has done a good job of making the roadmaps for S4HANA available to the customers. So there is a site, and I've got a resource page at the end where you can go to this site you're seeing on the left for the SAP Roadmaps. You could search down here. I'm showing you search on Roadmaps and then the products, and then it will return the different products, and then you can click it and look at the S4HANA Roadmap. You can look at the on-prem version. You can look at the cloud version. Okay. So what can you do today? One of the things that we hear from a lot of customers is, okay, my organization, we're going to get to S4HANA eventually, but we're not there yet, okay? Maybe we've gotten to the latest Enhancement Pack 8 on ECC. Maybe we've even gone to Suite on HANA, meaning you're running your traditional ECC system but on the HANA database. What can you do today? Where can you start, okay? So one of the things that we're saying is focus on people, process, and technology, right? A lot of the folks on the phone, you've been customers of SAP for a long time. You've learned some valuable experiences in rolling out SAP, some good, some bad. But what can you do now is you can get ahead of the game while you're waiting for your organization to go to S4HANA. You can start to focus on those business processes that you know are critical. What can I take advantage of that we've already done today so that when we get into SAP, we don't have to learn, into S4HANA, we don't have to learn that lesson again? How can we get our people trained up? How can we maybe redo the roles in our system that aren't working so good so that we can take advantage of that role-based experience, okay? So as you focus on your people and your process and your technology, you'll really have a head start, okay? One of the things that we've also seen as a good jumpstart or best practice as well is to look at your master data. A lot of people that are using SAP Quality Management today maybe built it on a master data model that's very complex. You know, I've seen it where people have thousands of master inspection characteristics and methods and plans. Look at how can you harmonize that? How can you go to a global QM master data model? How can you use characteristics that are more template and then, you know, and then put in the tolerance limits? You know, get down to a more simplified data model that can be supported in the future. Okay. So these S4 upgrades are really a big opportunity, right? Good opportunity to change, and if you do it right, good thing. You do it wrong, bad thing, right? So we're saying, look in the mirror. What do you like or dislike in your current system, right? Focus on the good parts and bring that forward into the new system. Get rid of the things that don't work so well for you or for your end users. Leverage the experience. There's, you know, webinars. There's ASUG. If you're not a member of ASUG, please join. If you're an SAP customer and your company's paying for ASUG, it's a great resource. There's online forums. There's webinars for ASUG. There's the annual conference with some good content. I'm also a volunteer for ASUG, so I help out with the quality part. So if you have any questions related to that, happy to help. Or if you want to give a presentation on what you've done maybe unique at your company, that would be great. Start early, you know, start doing data cleanup. Start looking at the enhancements that are out there. One of the things that you can do today, and I'll show that here in the system shortly, is you can look at what's available in the enhancement packs, right? Maybe there's a few things you missed. I found that, you know, as SAP rolls these out, there's stuff that's out there that we sort of forget about. So I'll show you some of the enhancements that are available in the system today and how you can even just turn them on via Enhancement Pack, or they're also available via OSS Note. So you can go in and you can install an OSS Note because maybe you haven't gone to the latest Enhancement Pack. So they've given you that. Another thing that you can do today that I think is actually pretty simple but neat is you can install the latest version of SAP GUI. So SAP GUI 750 is the latest version. And when you go to that, that's where you start to get this unified themes. So even just by going to the GUI 750 on your current SAP ECC backend, it introduces some nice visual capabilities that actually make it look a little bit nicer and will get you sort of used to the new look and feel of SAP. You can also introduce usability by doing Fiore Launch Pad. So even if you're not on S4HANA, there are ways to create and launch Fiore Launch Pads with your SAP transactions. You could build new Fiori Apps based on ECC. There are a couple of standard ones that SAP released for ECC. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what can you do if you maybe don't have that infrastructure in your ECC system. It hasn't been upgraded to the latest release or the Netweaver release, and you don't have Fiori and Gateway. How can you do that now? We're going to talk about something called SAP Cloud Platform. Okay. So this is SAP GUI 750. You'll notice it's a little bit different look and feel. So again, this is, you can download it from SAP, install it, just put your system properties in there. And when you run it, notice it looks a little bit different, right? Different theme. There's something now called the Belize theme. You may have heard of the different themes SAP has had over the years, Blue Crystal and Corbu and a few other things. The latest unifying theme that sort of makes it look the same in the HTML part of it, the GUI part of it, and the Fiori part is called Belize. So if you run Belize theme inside of that GUI, then you'll start to see things similar, okay? And you'll see some of those buttons are going to be down at the bottom, just like I was showing I'll show in some of the Fiori apps, okay? Okay. What else can you do today? You can go in and look at some of those enhancement packs and OSS notes, okay? There's a whole slew of presentations from SAP. I can share some of those with you that talk about that functionality. I'm just going to show you an example here. I'm going to drag over my SAP system and scroll down here. And if you go under the QM client settings, like I'm showing here, maintain settings at a client level, and again, it depends on what enhancement pack you're on if you're going to see it this way. And again, like I said earlier, you could also do some of these via OSS note. But if you're on one of the later enhancement packs, you don't go down under QM config, basic settings, maintain settings at client level, you go way down to the bottom, you'll notice this new section called further settings that didn't used to be there, okay? And when you scroll down there, you'll see some of those new settings. These are some of those things that came out in the enhancement pack and a way to turn them on in the IMG. This was, I think this may have came out, I have to look it up, but I think it may have came out in enhancement pack 8, could be 7 as well, I forget which one. But one that we've been using for a lot of customers recently is this one, Quality Inspection Document Link to Inspection Lot. When you click that on, it gives you the ability to link documents in SAP, DMS documents, document info records, CV01 in, CV02 in transaction, to your inspection lot. So, you know, you always had services for objects, but there's some inherent issues sometimes with that. People said, oh, it wouldn't be great if we could link a DMS document and we can maybe store our C of A's or CFC's as a DMS document. Well, you could turn that on, and then you can link those documents to inspection lot. There's also document links to codes. So you want to have a picture of what, you know, your packaging material looks like, or a different color or something like that. You can create those as DMS documents and link them to code so that you can have a visualization. And there's a bunch of things in here. I'm not going to go all over them, but there's some even very simple things like introduce the median calculation and results recording. That was a missing thing that, you know, in your quantitative data, you didn't see the median. And now if you click that on, that's a capability that comes in. Okay. I'm going to pause 1 second just so I can look at the chat log and see if there's anything that I'm missing from questions. If you have a question maybe on what I've shown up to now, go ahead and post it in there. I'll take a quick look before I continue here. Hold on, I'm just trying to see the chat. I'm not sure if I'm seeing it right, so I'll have to take a look at it. So let me just proceed for now. Okay, so in the Launch Pad, we did mention the different roles in the SAP Fiore Launch Pad. So why don't I show you what that looks like live in a system so you can get a feel for that. Drag over a Fiore screen here. So you can see here my home, and I've got my home screen with some of the things. I've oriented mine in different roles, maybe incoming inspection, manufacturing quality, audits, analytics, notifications, however I might want to see that. So let's just take a look at a couple of them just to see what that might look like. So I said I'd show you an object page, so display quality info records might be an example here. So when I run this, I'll get a list of quality info records. Let's just say I'm going to apply some filter to it, and you'll get a list of quality info records. And then you can drill into those info records. So this is sort of like display data, right? What's an info record? You know, look at it, you'll notice now I can sort of click through these things and scroll through it. That's an info record. Let's look at an overview page as an example. So we can look at this quality engineer overview page, and you'll get sort of these different boxes. So you'll say, okay, inspection lots without an inspection plan, right? Inspection lots without a usage decision. Inspection lots ready for the usage decision. And you can see as you sort of click on these things, oh, let's go into one of these that's in process, and I can click on that, and then it's going to launch me into the Manage Usage Decisions app, okay? So that I can go make the usage decision on one that's out there, okay? And maybe I want to filter it on the incoming lots. I can do that. I can look at the transactional app. Let's look at the results recording one. I think that's a good one to look at. So here's a transactional app. This is one of the first ones that was introduced with S/4HANA as a transactional app. So results recording. So SAP decided to make some updates to that so you can see the screen looks a little bit different. The lot, material, batch. Now this thing is just sort of like you could do in SAP where you can, filter, you can rearrange the order, put in different columns, kind of what you called your display variants in the past. So I can have different display variants that I could run and change here, just a little different look and feel how you do that. So I've got this display variant. Maybe I go here and apply my selection variant, sort of the same thing as you could do in the past. But you'll notice the visualization a little different. We've got 0 rejected characteristics, 2 in process, and 3 open. This one's got a rejected characteristic. So if I click into it and I click on that, then it will bring me into it, and this is where I do my results recording. Okay, so different screens, different visualization than maybe you've seen in the GUI before. Drop downs, pass-fail codes, kind of similar. Then you can have, summarized values, individual values, etc. Okay. So example of a couple Fiori apps. If you're on ECC, the only 2 transactional Fiori apps that are available are for our quality notifications, or if you're using QIM, QMS has created a couple Fiori apps for the quality issue management. Okay, so there weren't a lot of transactional Fiori apps that were available for ECC, but the 2 that are available that I just mentioned here, and I'll show you the QIM ones in our system. And very similar use case for the notification ones. They really have the same use case, which is give me a simple way to create a quality notification and give me a simple way to process my tasks or activities that are assigned to me, okay? So the first one is create a quality issue or create a quality notification. And that's this one. In this case, it's called Submit Quality Issue. And that lets you create a new quality issue. And there's a couple things to it. I'll just speak to it here. This little plus button lets you take a picture. So if, you know, good use case here, you might be, you know, walking around your manufacturing line out in your warehouse. You go, oh, look at, I'm in the warehouse and the packaging, the boxes are damaged on this product. I want to create a new quality notification. Click that X. If you're on your phone, it's going to access your camera function. You can take a picture of it. If you're on your tablet or it might use the picture as well, or it might just go and look into pictures you already have. So you can do an attachment, whether that's a picture file, a PDF file, whatever, one or many attachments. Then you can say what's your issue type. That's like your quality notification type. Give it some short text, long text. Maybe get an issue code, a defect code, and then you hit submit, and it will create your quality notification or your quality issue. Okay? So it depends if it's notifications. This will create a quality notification with that notification type. If you're using QIM, it will create a quality issue with that issue type. Okay? Same sort of use case. Once you've got those created, I'll talk to the activities one then. Activities and tasks are sort of similar between notifications and QIM. So if you're in a notification, what this button does is it shows any quality notification task assigned to your user, and then we'll let you complete the task or reassign the task to another user. And the same thing in quality issue management and QIM. It works with what they call activities, which is sort of, it's not the same as notifications. It's a broader thing that encompasses questions, tasks, activities, but it does the same thing. It shows you any activities assigned to your user, lets you complete or reassign those. Look at the details. You can see the pictures and all that kind of a thing. All right. Let's just page the next one. Okay. The other thing I want to mention that you can do today, and this is something that's going to be key in the future as well, even when you get into S/4HANA, is SAP Cloud Portal or SAP Cloud Platform, SCP you'll hear it called. What this does in SAP Cloud Platform is it offers a set of integrated services that really lets you do some of that customization within the new environment. And being a cloud platform, it's hosted on the cloud. So one of the things we hear from some of our customers is, I can't do some of these Fiori things because IT hasn't upgraded the Netweaver, you know, gateway, the service pack. We haven't installed all this Fiori stuff on our system. How can we do some of this now? So one of the things that SAP has come out with is this cloud platform. And I'm going to show an example of this in our system of something we've developed called the Supplier Quality Portal. And so the use case is we've got a supplier who is sending us material. Traditionally, they send us that material. Along with the material, we get a certificate of analysis. We've got all those results. We take that paper file and we store it away, or we scan it to a PDF and attach it, or we have to key in all those results off of the C of A into our system because we might want that data, but the product is already at our door. Okay? With the Supplier Quality Portal, what we said was we wanted a way to do some of this. In SAP, we didn't have a Fiori system available. We wanted this to be cloud-based, so it's subscription-based, so we can just record those results before they ship the product. So the idea is the supplier logs into a portal, authenticates that they're your supplier, and then they get a list of their POs, and they can record the results before they ship you the product, okay? So let me just give you an idea of what this looks like. You can see we're on a web page in Google Chrome. I'm a supplier, and I've logged in, authenticated, and I'm getting a couple Fiori tiles. Okay, you can see inspection processing. Maybe I've got a different one for incident management, for quality notifications. So I click on my record COA results, and what happens is it's going out to my ECC system, and it's getting a list of purchase orders and line items on those POs that require quality inspection. Okay, and that's the left side. So that's my list of POs, right? And if I select one of those POs, you'll see on the right the PO and the line item where it's going to go to. Then the supplier can put in their supplier batch number. They can say their date of manufacturing, and then they can click on this button and go over and start to record their results. Now, where is this data coming from? It's coming from your back-end SAP system. So the Cloud Platform is connected to your back-end system via something called the Cloud Connector. It's a little piece of software that's put on your SAP system, on the gateway or on the SAP server itself. And it's connecting to the cloud where those hosted cloud applications are living, so that these are hosted by SAP Cloud, by a partner or by SAP, and this is going on without having to upgrade your Netweaver system like I was talking about. So now we can go out and we can enter in our inspection results, qualitative, quantitative, drop-downs with codes. Maybe they're numeric values here, 19.85, so put in a result. And as we save these results, it's checking the specs against the back-end tables in your inspection plan to see if they're passing, okay? So I can record all my results. You're going to see each time I do that, I'm going to get a pass or fail here. If I put something over the limit, you'll see it comes back with a fail, okay? If everything is passing, and I save it, we'll see everything passing here. We'll also get a status of passed here. And so in this particular use case, what we're going to do is we'll get a pass, and then we're going to generate a barcode, and then we're going to let the supplier ship us the product, and we'll have all of the inspection data in our system before it even gets there. So what happens is we've got all of the data. We know it's good. They can ship us the product. They can generate those barcodes. We can even give them a place to put some attachments, or we can do some supplier collaboration with some notes back and forth. And when they do the goods receipt for the purchase order now, we'll suck in all those results here, and we'll put those directly in an inspection lot without having to retype them. Okay? So a nice use case there. So if you think about SAP Cloud Platform, it really just opens up the window to do a lot of those things. Another one that we're seeing some interest in is, how can we interact with our suppliers on their quality notifications, right? Show them supplier nonconformances or supplier corrective actions and ask them to fill out their response, directly in our system instead of us having to rekey that in, okay? So it's leveraging your back-end SAP data, and it's leveraging the front end in the Cloud Platform. All right. So just a couple of screenshots in the presentation, and so you can see that. That's the supplier results entry piece. Little bit of background on how this works that I talked about already. So we're basically deploying a technology called Cloud Platform. SAP has all of the data centers, and it's hosted in the cloud. You install the Cloud Connector, and then you've got this, in the case of what I just showed, a cloud portal where we can leverage the data from the supplier. We can also have internal employees log into that and interact with it as well, okay? Sort of the way that looks and feels in that scenario was we've got, your internal SAP customers, right? So you're running SAP. These are the things that we're going to have the employees do in the Cloud Platform. These are the things we're going to have the suppliers do in the Cloud Platform. So the idea is the supplier enters their results for their PO. They get that validated barcode before shipment. And then what happens is when you get that product now, you just scan the barcode they put on it. SAP confirms those results. It triggers the goods receipt, creates the inspection lot, transfers all of those results to the lot, and then it has that data available. And the way this works is this sort of section up here is in the cloud. The cloud platform also includes the ability to have a SAP HANA in-memory database in it, so if you want to store data in the cloud, or you can just use this cloud connector and you can send the data back directly to your on-premise system, so your ECC system, PLM system, or non-SAP system. So this is what was happening in the example I showed is the cloud connector was on ECC. It's grabbing the data out of the inspection plans, presenting that there, recording the results, and then we're storing the data either back in the back-end ECC system or in the in-memory database. I did mention a couple of resources. This is the roadmap, the product roadmap piece that I was showing earlier, so just wanted to put that link in there. So when you click on that, you'll get this roadmaps for SAP, and then you can browse the roadmaps and do some filtering and such in there. I did want to mention, because we haven't mentioned it for a while, as from a QMS standpoint, we've got a library of some videos that we put out on YouTube a while back, and there's some really good data in there. I forget about myself from time to time. People say, I just want to see, how does QM work, or how does, FMEA work, or, how do flexible specifications work, or could you show me a little bit more about SAP QIM, Quality Issue Management? So we've got a bunch of videos out here on this YouTube channel, everything from, how do you run, QM10 notification work list, or create a change order, or, calibrations, some of the training products, training videos that we have out here. So, good resource there that I often forget that we have out there, so I wanted to mention that as well. And we'll, in the future, put some of these webinars, I think, on that page as well. So I'm going to see if I can open up the phone lines for questions, because I am having a issue trying to see the chat here. So let me just see if I can open up the phone lines and see if any questions, and then I can drill into some of this functionality either in S4 or in SAP Cloud or whatever else we might want to do. So let me see if I can unmute everybody for a second here. Hopefully it's not too loud. I might have to just unmute a person at a time if that's the case, because there's quite a few folks on here. Let's see if I can do that. View all attendees, select all, unmute. Okay. So you're all unmuted now. If anybody has a particular question, feel free to bring it up, and I'll see if I can't cover some of it.
Commander, I just thought of you, so you pick out what you like. You want flowered? Sure. You know I do. I'll figure that. I like that too, Dom.
Hi, Carl. This is Jim Farwig. I'll ask a question if no one else will.
Sure.
I heard from SAP that any of the Fiori apps that work in ECC are not, in fact, the same Fiori apps that we'll see in S4, so that they may not be compatible. Do you know anything about that, or could you comment on that?
Yeah, so there's certain of these apps that definitely need S4. So like those objects pages, you need HANA, you need the HANA database in order to see object pages, because it relies on the HANA to display those. So like any of these ones that say object pages, they won't work in ECC at all. The application ones, like the notification ones, those should work in both. I'm not sure. Did they mention anything in particular? Was it the transactional apps or the object page, or?
My understanding is that none of the apps that work in ECC, they're not the same apps for S4. That was my understanding.
I mean, there are a lot of them that. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of. I'm not sure it's entirely that specific. But so basically the object pages ones only work at S4 because it needs HANA. The there are a lot of apps that are created for S4 that definitely do not work in ECC, and one of the things is all these apps that you start seeing, like for example that results recording one I showed you, they are not porting them back to ECC, right? So I think that's part of it too. Is one, there's only, like I said, 2 transactional apps that work in ECC anyways with the quality notifications, and I think they're redoing those in S4. So that may be one of the things that you're hearing, because they're fairly simple, and I think in S4 they want to make them much more robust. But like results recording, that app that I showed, that definitely doesn't work in ECC. So all of these ones that say like record defects, create quick defect, record results for inspection point, you know, manage inspection loss, user decisions, none of those work in ECC. They're only in S4. So the availability of Fiori Apps for ECC is very limited. Like I said, just the create notification and the task exist standard, and those will probably change. And then that's why we've gone down the path of using SAP Cloud Platform or creating, you know, specific apps so that you can have those working both now and later in S4. So if you write it in the technology that SAP is using, which is something on the back end called OData, on the front end called UI5, which is sort of HTML5, they will work both now and in the future. Anybody else have any questions?
Hi, Gary. This is Raj.
Hello.
I would like to know, in case if we have ECC database for master data maintenance and we have been using for a couple of years, now if I want to proceed for HANA later on date, can I leverage the database as ECC and use only application as a HANA to record my results or create any other inspection process?
Was this, I'm sorry, did you say MDM?
No, I'm saying in SAP,
just your master.
ECC is my database.
Okay.
I have already been using my SAP QM on ECC.
Yes.
Down the line, if I am going for HANA, can I leverage my ECC database for master data and application only on HANA?
So you convert from ECC to an S/4HANA and a HANA database, and then you're saying, can you leverage the data you already set up in the future?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a few approaches to that. I mean, it's really an implementation question. There's some customers that sort of will start over. I think people are calling that the Greenfield Approach, and then there's sort of some people porting the data. There are ways to leverage the data that you already have and bring that over into HANA. What some people have done, and I think maybe some of the customers on the phone have done already, is they've gone from ECC to what they call Suite on HANA. So they went from an old database, you know, or Oracle, whatever, to the HANA database. That's called Suite on HANA, and then they went Suite on HANA into S4. That was sort of that, but I think now SAP has some tools to go straight to S4.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Was there anything I could go back in and show a couple more of the apps if that's something people would like to see?
Hi, Carl. This is Venu. I'm sorry. Yeah, a quick question about SAP QM.
QM? Yep.
Yeah, specifically, what's the roadmap say in terms of implementations which are on top of ECC and implementations which are standalone?
Okay. Yeah, good question. So in QIM, right, so SAP introduced QIM, or Quality Issue Management. I guess it's going back 5 or 6 years ago now. QIM is a Netweaver-based system, right? So the upgrade path to that, if you go to S4HANA, is only supported side by side, not on top. So there's an OSS note. I could share it after the call. I don't know if I could find it during the call, but there's an OSS note that sort of advises in the future the only way to connect QIM to S4HANA is what they call side by side. So you'd still run QIM as a standalone Netweaver database. It still connects to S4, reference objects and connections, but it's no longer, when you go to HANA, it's no longer sort of supported on top. And then the general support path for QIM follows Netweaver, right?
Okay.
So it's still a supported, what I call sort of supported standalone Netweaver system. And I think the last I heard is, like 2025 or whatever the date is for that. But, there's enough people running, I think they're going to support it as a standalone. They're going to support, as I mentioned earlier, quality notifications as part of S4HANA. So they're already there. They just haven't done all the apps. And I know from working with SAP, they are doing some things to quality notifications in S4HANA along with SAP Cloud to support additional functionality. So they're going to do the 8D, the 8 disciplines inside of notifications in S4, but by leveraging SAP Cloud Platform.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
I think somebody else had a question too, and sort of at the same time.
Yeah, this is Jimmy from Johns Manville.
Jim.
Have they made any improvements in S4 to reporting and charting and visualization?
Yeah, so there's, let me see if I can launch this, but yeah, because of the, because of the database being changed to HANA, they do have some improvements in that area. I'm not sure I've got a good example or not, but there are a lot more reports and graphics and stuff that are available, and there's more coming in the apps. I know specifically, I could see if I can, I don't know if I've got on my system here, but there's one for quality levels, to look at the quality levels for dynamic modification rules, and they sort of follow similar path as I was showing with like that quality engineer overview, or let me just bring that one back up on the screen here. So, like where you basically click on it and you'll have graphs and charts and stuff. So there's, things that are embedded that you can click on. So like the quality level one will, show you your different material vendor combinations and what stage they're at from a quality level and show that in graphical representation. You can see like your quality history. I think if I have a good example here or not, but your results history, like where you can see your control charts, and you can see like they've redone this one a little bit, where you can see CP, CPK, et cetera, and launch into your run charts or things like that. So there's more and more of that coming. I think it's still sort of in its infancy, but I'd have to look at the 1809 version because that just came out, and I believe in that one there's a few more analytics pages.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, quick question, David. This is David Mendoza. I'm curious about, has S4 introduced any new functionality on the standard functions that we typically use today, such as quality levels and sampling, sample management and all that sort of thing, specifically like quality levels? Have they made it easier to do any other unique categories like material revision or anything like that? Have they expanded the scope of any of those items, or is it all as it is in ECC today? It will be in S4 tomorrow. No real difference.
Yeah, there's some things that have some slight changes, but I'd say at the beginning it's the same functionality with just an improved user interface and some simplification to it. But I don't know, like specifically around quality levels. I can see here, there's the Manage Quality Levels app. So, you know, from an ease of use, the app would do it, but I don't think there's any, like, improved functionality. And then there's an Analytics one here that I was referring to that I'll have to see if I can find it later, but, you know, that shows it more in a graphical and, you know, sort of a dashboard style page. But from a functionality piece, I don't think there's a lot of changes there. But I could check into it for you. Yeah.
Hi, this is Sue Roshan. Have you seen SAP going in the direction of better integration between QM and maybe process industry, process manufacturing, or even, I know they've made some inroads on discrete with their ME application and the integration to QM, but have you seen anything? They're looking at redesigning process manufacturing, and have you been involved in any discussions around integration to QM for that?
I know there's some new functionality that they've been working on from what they call line of business manufacturing for the sort of digital supply chain, but specifically around QM, and like I think you're probably referring to, you know, like PI sheets and steps and like what they're doing in the future to support that. I think it's supported, but I don't know of anything new around that at this point. But I defer to probably product management. I haven't been as involved in those discussions around process manufacturing.
Okay.
But
thank you.
it's definitely, I think there is a roadmap for it. There's a gentleman I'll reach out to afterwards and try to see if I can get you some information that's really involved with that area.
Great. Thank you.
If that's out, I did want to mention before we end the call, if you want to put in to the chat or the Q&A, anywhere you can type in there, we want to start doing these monthly. We were doing these webinars monthly just to, you know, get these topics out there. So if you have an idea for what would you like to see next month, we might be drilling down a little bit more into some of these Fiori Apps or SAP Cloud applications to talk about, you know, some use cases there. The other thing that some customers have mentioned that they're interested in is blockchain, and we've been trying to get enough QM customers interested in creating an app around blockchain where you can maybe do certificates of analysis on the blockchain on sort of a distributed ledger so that you could share that with your customers. If you're producing, you're either consuming a product that's got a C of A that somebody from one of your suppliers could have that on the blockchain, or you're producing your own C of A that you want to share with your customers. So that's a topic that we've been exploring. If you're interested in something around that or use case around that, you know, put that in the chat and we can follow up with you on that. Or if there's a specific topic around quality, you know, within either even traditional ECC or in S4 or in the cloud, or, you know, just something that you'd like to see more information on, definitely, you know, give us some feedback on that so that we can tailor these to be towards what you guys are looking for. Hopefully this was helpful. You know, the idea is to, you know, take an hour. Typically we try to do these on a Friday when you might have a little bit of time on your calendar. We're going to start, like I said, doing these every month. Try to vary the topics, and then we'll post these. We'll send the presentations out to everybody, but then if we've got a recording or something like that, we'll probably just put it on that YouTube page that I showed earlier as a way just to get it out more broadly. All right. Thanks, everyone, for your time, and have a great Friday afternoon and a nice weekend, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.